Okay, so today I wanted to talk about emotions and emotional regulation and emotional transmutation. And I cannot highlight how excited I am about this because this is where my own coaching journey began. When I noticed that my own emotions influenced what my 2-year-old son was experiencing, and my own anxiety gave him anxiety. And I decided that I need to do something about my own emotions because otherwise I will be like my neglect of my own self-care would impact his own mental health. So I found out about emotional regulation, and back then it was way before my own spiritual journey. It was just the very beginning of my growth when like the most rapid part of my growth um, when I started looking deeply into how I can live a more fulfilled and fuller life. So, emotional regulation based on psychological research um, is a very simple process. And I actually, based on number of readings, I uh, found like the 5 steps. And that was the basis of my coaching for some time. Those 5 steps of emotional regulation, I use the acronym STEPS. So first letter S was about the emotional state. So realizing what you're feeling, and this is for both approaches, emotional regulation, emotional transmutation. You need to know what you're feeling. Realize that you're spiraling in anger, or you're just withdrawn because you're sad, or you're grieving, or that you're frustrated. Frustration and anger might feel very similar, but they have a very different message to tell you. So first thing, you need to realize what you're feeling, and then STT is a trigger. So we don't feel certain emotions because of the outside circumstances. We feel those emotions because of our interpretation of those outside circumstances. So back then, I was using this example of the shoes in the hall. When your kids come home and they drop the shoes in the hall, one mom will think my kids are disrespectful and she will get angry. Another mom will think I have so much to do and now I also have to pick up the shoes after my kids. She will feel overwhelmed. And yet another mom will think my children feel safe in the home that I created for them, and she won't feel angry, she won't feel overwhelmed, she will feel loving, she will feel um fulfilled, she will feel that she is still in control of the whole situation, but the situation goes more into like emotional safety rather than perfect surroundings. So what you think creates the emotions you're feeling most of the time. Um, Emotions are messengers. They bring you some information, and depending on what you feel, the information might be different. The next step in the acronym STE is empathizing with yourself. So offer yourself empathy, just like you would offer your friend or your sibling when they feel similar emotions in a similar situation. Because when you realize that um, this happened and you had this thought, it's only logical that you feel this way. So allow yourself to feel that emotion. Um, think what the not think, feel what that emotion is trying to tell you. Allow it to be, because emotions aren't our enemies. Emotions are just messengers. They just bring some piece of information for you to acknowledge. And when you acknowledge that, the emotion goes away. So the next step is perk up, the letter P, steps, STEP. So after you allow yourself to feel the emotion, just sit with it. Don't get overwhelmed with it, just sit with it. Then we do something to change our vibration, to raise the vibration, or to do something opposite. Like when you feel sad, do something that cheers you up. When you feel angry, do something to release that angry energy, some physical activity. Um, when you're frustrated, do something that helps you organize yourself to take action as a result of that. Um, so just do something to change the way after you've already felt the emotion, do something that allows you to move forward from there. And the last letter S is for solution. So only then you actually take action to fix the situation. Sometimes we won't take any action because just regulating the emotion allows you to see the situation from a different perspective. Sometimes, for example, when your child talks back to you, you might get triggered, you might get angry. And if you respond from that anger, you will rupture the relationship between the two of you. If, on the other hand, you regulate yourself first, you might realize that the child wasn't even talking back to you. They were just expressing their own opinion. But because we were conditioned to believe that children should be respectful, and respectful meaning they accept whatever you say without expressing their own opinion on the subject, that's just some toxic conditioning that we all went through. When you realize that, you won't be taking any action in that regard, other than maybe just continuing the conversation on a different level. So that's about emotional regulation. So we regulate emotions. The simplest way to regulate your emotions is by co-regulation. When there is a calm person, you may borrow their calm by physical touch, by being with that person. That's why we sometimes like to talk through emotions, because we believe the other person might be able to meet us where we are at and bring us above that. It doesn't always work. Sometimes it usually does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we might bring that person down accidentally. It's for kids, it's the only way they do. It's the only way they can regulate their emotion. Kids up to the age of 7 don't have that brain developed enough to be able to self-regulate. They need you. They need your calm. They need your hug. They need your presence to regulate difficult emotions. That's why it's so important to be there for the child when they are having a meltdown. Now, when it comes to transmuting emotions, alchemizing them, turning them into your inner power, this is something that came to me only this year in August, so like 2, 3 months ago, when I was about to quit my job. It was terrifying. I was so frozen, and I knew that I want to do that because um, I stood before like a crossroads, and one decision was either I'm staying in my job and quitting my business, or I'm quitting my job and going full on in my business. Because I had been doing both for a couple of years and I realized it's not working. It wasn't working. So I wanted to change something, and I decided that this year I'm going either this way or that way, because following both um, was not what I really wanted to do. So I connected with my higher self, and in conversation with her, I realized that I don't want to stay in my job, because that would be like cutting my own wings, because that's not the environment I want to be in, and not the um financially um enticing place. So I decided I prefer to go into business, which is always risky. And I felt that with the whole of my being. And I was terrified. I was literally frozen terrified. Um, so I decided to visualize that. And I pictured that fear as a tiger. And I saw that tiger right in front of me. I visualize it in great detail with like wrinkles on its muzzle, looking at me with those huge, sharp teeth, about to pounce at me. And I know I am a cat mom. I've always had cats at home, and I know that when a cat is scared, you need to show them, like when a cat is aggressive, it means it's scared. When a cat is scared, you need to show them they're safe. So I try to stroke the tiger. I try to stroke my own fear. So this is also part of that emotional regulation framework when you look at that, because first you allow that emotion to be, you allow it, um, you give the emotion the message that it's perfectly okay, you're here. You are accepted, you are loved, you are needed. And I did the same with the tiger, just in cat language. So I tried to stroke the tiger. But if you know cats, you know that if a cat is scared and aggressive and you try to stroke it, it will scratch you, it will bite you. So that happened. The tiger tried to claw at me, and I was shocked when it happened because its paw just went through me as if we were existing on different planes. Like I was trans, I wasn't physical for the tiger wasn't physical for me. Um, so the tiger's paw went through me, and I realized that fear alone doesn't hurt us. Fear alone doesn't have any power over us. That fear is just a message. You can accept the message, thank the fear, let it go, and do with the message, take the message and do whatever you deem um the best course of action with that message. So if the message is, if you go to business, you won't have regular income, and that was in my case, that's scary. That might feel scary. It might trigger the fear. Um, but then if I go to business, I might have a much higher income than from my job. So it goes both ways. And then I realized that this tiger, which brings the message that you might not have enough money, it won't ever leave me when I'm in business, because as a business owner, there is no regular salary. There will always be that question, where will the next client come from? And I realized that tiger is going to be my companion on that journey, right there in that visualization. And I asked myself, like, do I want to go through the whole process of emotional regulation every day just to be able to function? Or do I want to befriend that tiger? Do I want to accept its existence and turn it into something valuable, something that will give me, I don't know, energy, power, focus? So I decided I didn't want to let that tiger go because I knew a new one will appear in a day, in an hour. So I decided I want to keep this tiger as part of me, as part of my new identity as as an entrepreneur. And when I stroked it again, it realized it's safe. It realized it's okay to be here. It started like cuddling and headbutting me. And when we were already like befriended, we merged. Like the tiger went into my body literally. So that was the visualization. And I was shocked when I opened my eyes and I was thinking about just taking the documents and bringing them to my workplace. I realized I wasn't afraid anymore. I was excited. And I was shocked that this simple visualization had such a huge impact on how I felt and how I decided to act. Because, why emotions are so important? Because it's the emotions that dictate us what we do. Most people want to um, think of themselves as logical, as making sound decisions. But every person in the world makes decisions based on emotions. If something feels good, you will do that. If something doesn't feel good, you won't do that. If a thought gives you anxiety because of conditioning, it's the feeling of anxiety that dictates your actions. So it's always some kind of an emotion. And when you realize that you have the power to regulate your emotions and to transmute those emotions into something else, you will have the greatest power over yourself. When you regulate your negative or unpleasant emotions, and when you transmute them into energy, power, focus, attention, intention, you will be able to decide what direction you go precisely, taking every step just how you want to. Sometimes it's good to just flow with the emotion. When something feels like flow, like love, like joy, just follow it. Don't focus on regulating that and transmuting that. Just like Abraham Hicks says, milk it and flow and follow it. What I'm talking about are the emotions that you might not want to feel. Emotions that don't feel like flow, that don't feel like energy, that don't feel like where you want to be, that feel more like contraction, that feel that are hindering you in some ways. These emotions are the ones we want to um, befriend. We want to befriend them, transmute them, and use them as fuel for our future transformation. So if this is interesting to you, if this topic excites you as much as it does excite me, I will be running a free 3-day event. I don't know how to call it, workshop, retreat. I didn't even pick the name yet, but I'm playing with the name Emotional Alchemy. Let me know in the comments under this video, and I will give you all the details as soon as I set everything up. Because this topic is such a huge one for me, and I want as many mompreneurs to join it as possible because this is bold. So thank you very much for watching and see you soon.